Welcome to Edie Extra, edie.net's home for all of our exclusive special audio features. As more voices, businesses and initiatives join the conversation on environmental sustainability and tackling the climate crisis, Edie Extra cuts through the noise. We'll be asking the big questions about the hot topics, profiling seasoned leaders, and getting out and about, taking you to the heart of the action with on-site recordings from site visits and events across the world. Welcome to the place to find in-depth conversations with sustainability leaders about sustainability leadership. Welcome to Edie Extra. Hello and welcome along to Edie Extra, the home for all of Edie's new and exclusive podcast features in addition to our long-running regular Sustainability Uncovered podcast. You're listening to the voice of Edie's content editor, Sarah George, and I'm here for another episode of our SustyTalks, our short but sweet one-on-one interviews with sustainability leaders from across the UK and beyond. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Anne Jones, who is a leading sustainability consultant for the drinks industry, to talk all things sustainability in drinks. Thank you very much for your time, Anne. How are you?
I'm marvellous, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on. It's great to be here.
No, thank you for hopping on. And I was going to say it's quite hard to introduce you, Anne, because you wear many hats. So I've been told that you're sustainability leader for YNGB, director of sustainability consultancy called Limestone and Jones, and one of the core organising teams for the Sustainability in Drinks event in London this October. But Anne, it'd be great to have an introduction to yourself and your career in your own words.
Absolutely. So I used to work in retail. So I was at Waitrose in the drinks buying team, but also with a great depth of commitment to sustainability. I left Waitrose in January. I'd actually been building up my sustainability career behind that. So as you say, I'm a sustainability lead for YNGB. I'm also development director for the Regenerative Viticulture Foundation. I'm also working on the Sustainability in Drinks event, which is super exciting. And I also have some private clients in the drinks industry looking at sustainability strategy. Yeah,
so I hope in all of that you do get time to wind down with a nice glass of wine if you should choose.
I have a 3-year-old.
Even bigger of a thank you for coming on the episode then. And we're here to chat a little bit about sustainability in drinks, the event, and some of the topics that will be spoken about during this event. So this is taking place in mid-October in London, and Edie is delighted to be one of the media partners for this event. And it'd be great to hear a little bit more about it, about who's speaking, who attends, and how and why this conference came to be.
Absolutely. It's actually a really exciting opportunity. I think the drinks industry as a whole has got a huge connection to sustainability, given that in most cases it's literally rooted in the ground. It's completely reliant on soil health. And yet we have been distracted for a long time, I think, because we're a very fragmented industry. We're also a very global industry. So there's a lot of transport, a lot of packaging. But I think because of the way the industry is set up, it's been maybe finding it a little bit harder to get to grips with what's coming in the world of sustainability. So actually what we wanted to do was bring together producers who are doing amazing things to share best practice, but also bring together really high quality advice, making sure that they've got a great advisory bodies, an understanding of actually what the opportunities are, what the future holds, and making sure that actually all of that is pulled together in one day so that actually you can learn and you can put things in context as well as learning from each other, because actually collaboration is what I think what we all agree is going to move sustainability forward. So actually, how can we do that within the drinks industry? So we've got a conference on the Monday. And we've got the keynote speakers are Jancis Robinson, Master of Wine, and Judith Batchelor, OBE. Actually, Jancis is also an OBE. And then we've got some amazing kind of core sponsors of the event who will be speaking. So we've got Stephen Cronk, who runs Mirabeau Wines, which is a winery in Provence, who have also just been regeneratively organic certified. And he also works with the Regenerative Viticulture Foundation. We have Beyond Zero, which is an agriculturally based carbon accounting firm. So Doug Wanstill from them. We've got some guys from Alentejo. They've got an amazing certification system. And also NSERC, who are one of the largest glass suppliers and also bulk bottlers. So it's a really great group of people. We've got the conference on the Monday. And then on the Tuesday, it's an exhibition, which is free to attend. So please do all come. We've also got a set of SID talks talking about the future direction of sustainability in the drinks industry, where we'll be talking about AI and robotics, but also innovation and actually how all that pulls together. We've got a talk on the race to net zero. We've got the great packaging debate and also how to engage the supply chain in sustainability. So I feel like if people are coming to this kind of event now, then everyone in the room is probably already bought into the idea that sustainability is basically a good idea. But it's so complicated, and we have such a long supply chain, from whether it's from soil health and what happens in the vineyard, all the way through to regulations and certifications, that actually it's very hard for people to get good advice and to understand how to sort of prioritize and to understand what they need to do next. So we've tried to put it all together into one space so that if people are just starting their journey and they want to understand how to begin and how to start creating a strategy for ESG, we can help them. If it's somebody who's much further down the road and already has a business in that area, but they want to meet some other people, or they want to get a retailer perspective, or they want to understand a bit more about what's coming up in the next few years in sustainability, then we can also service that need too.
Fantastic. And we've mentioned there some of the reasons why this is so challenging. So people working in silos and struggling with the complexity of it. We've also seen more broadly than just drinks, people pressing pause because they've been waiting for the election or costs are too high. But it'd be great to hear a little bit about what is exciting the sector at the moment. So which environmental topics have really risen up the business agenda in drinks over the past year or so, would you say, Anne, from what you've been observing?
So I'd say I like the fact you used the word exciting. There are a couple that I think are genuinely exciting, and then a couple that have risen up the agenda that affect potentially more onerous, but I think are just as important, and they link together. Obviously, the thing that I'm most excited about is probably regenerative agriculture and how that relates to drinks. But I think for the drinks industry, it is such a great opportunity because we're one of the few agricultural products that goes straight from that product to being a luxury goods. And actually, it's the product that ends up on the dinner table, that it invites excitement, invites storytelling, invites connection with consumers, and frankly, is also fun. So it's a really good way for us to engage people in that regenerative discussion, whilst also creating enormous biodiversity benefits. And then the other topic, therefore, that's rising the agenda that's linked to that is the ability of the wine industry to capture carbon. So increasing soil organic carbon. We are a perennial crop, which comes with its own carbon accounting complexities, but we're not a crop that needs to be ploughed. So actually, if we can move to less tilling, the soil organic carbon that can then be stored is unbelievable. What you can see, the improvements you can see in soil organic carbon storage while people are improving their viticultural techniques, it's absolutely amazing. And I think it gives us such a strong story for agriculture when we're looking at, obviously the government have got their net zero targets, whether then that's, allegedly apolitical. So in fact, how the drinks industry can play into that and can help other companies with their scope 3, I think is really exciting. And that's definitely an evolving discussion around how that can be done credibly, what sort of testing needs to be done, actually how it reports. But so that then leads me to the other things. I think the two things that are rising up the agenda, which are possibly exciting to those people that work in them, but maybe not quite as jolly as having a glass of English sparkling wine, are regulation and certifications. I think they're the two. I think probably most people on this listening to this podcast are mindful that UK regulation is coming. Obviously, as a global industry, we're very familiar with CSRD and with the regulations coming out of the monopoly markets, but we're going to see our own version of that. And, we need to be understanding what it is that we need to be doing to be prepared for that. And the certifications are playing an amazing role in that themselves. And there's a proliferation of regenerative certifications coming through. And so I think that's an ever evolving topic that kind of has endless fascination for further discussion.
I think it's, as you say, like regulation, especially around disclosures and certification, is coming. But that would lead me to ask about the role that the industry has in saying how and when. So we've got this new government in at the UK. So can the UK's drink sector really play a role in influencing some of the environmental business agenda, and maybe not even just regulation, but the overarching strategy and narrative, and some of the practical points that you mentioned as well, like simplification. So maybe some carrots as well as some sticks. So essentially, how can the sector really proactively engage with the government on sustainability at the moment, do you think?
I think that's one of the most exciting opportunities we have, actually, is because we do have a product that the government likes to talk about. It's also a high risk area in some elements because it is alcohol, but we do have this potential within the soil and potential within regenerative. We've also, I think, got a huge responsibility. And one of the reasons we pulled sustainability and drinks together is to be able to have collaborative conversations with distributors and retailers as well. I think the certification and regulatory elements are quite nascent. I think particularly with sustainability disclosure reporting, we're going to see that coming through as scope 3, and probably because we're relatively small businesses in most cases, it's probably going to come as a waterfall effect down from the retailers, I would have thought, to the drinks industry. And so therefore it's reliant on us and for us to have the conversations with our friends in retail to make sure that we're actually looking at the same things. We're looking at things in a way that is meaningful, but also trying to not duplicate inefficiencies that we've seen in other sectors.
Got it. And we've mentioned there some of the opportunities for now, and I wanted to get your view on some of the opportunities in the future, because inevitably what I've seen working in sustainable business since 2018 is that topics do come up and down the agenda all the time. So is there anything that you think at the moment needs a little bit of increased focus that is maybe lacking at the moment for whatever reason, whether it's the complexity or whether it's been people waiting for that policy clarity?
Oh, where do I start? I'm not sure you've got a long enough podcast for me to talk about the deposit return scheme and extended producer responsibility on packaging. I think glass is obviously a huge concern for us as an industry. There's been amazing work done on alternative formats, but essentially we are still very reliant on the glass industry. So I think seeing the incentives from government to help decarbonise that supply chain, and also then to help mitigate the negative impact of glass through its use and disposal, I think that's incredibly important. So recycling infrastructure is probably the thing that most frustrates a lot of us in the industry. Its lack thereof, inequality across different areas of the country, or indeed between different administrations. And then obviously we've got then the potential impact of the deposit return scheme. Again, great ambition, not great execution. And so I think what the next government does in terms of bringing that back to the fore and bringing those discussions back in, as well as extended producer responsibility, there's definitely a desire for more clarity and a desire for more efficiency, I think, in the way that those things are implemented, and for a better understanding of actually what it means to the supply chain and what it means to our industry.
Yeah, got it. I mean, as I say, I've been doing this since 2018, and we all saw the resources and waste strategy in the first instance and celebrated, and it's fallen very flat. So I feel your pain.
Yeah, exactly. I still think there's a huge opportunity. And actually, if there's money to be raised, I think the industry would be hugely behind anything that can really develop and inform and improve the environmental impact. But it's how to do it in a way that's fair and that's equitable, and where actually the money is spent in the way that's most beneficial. And recycling, curbside recycling. And I remember back in the day when PRNs were introduced, and the idea was that would help fund council and curbside recycling. And it's very difficult for government to do that in a way that gives particular councils the freedom and autonomy that they want, whilst also creating a scheme that's nationally consistent. And I think that's certainly something that we'd all like to see. I haven't necessarily seen that it's going to happen in the short term, but we all have to live in hope.
Of course, and as I say, I could do a whole other podcast on that policy strategy, but I just have one more thing that I really wanted to ask about, which is that you mentioned that the supply chain for UK alcoholic beverages is inevitably international, and we're heading up to a few months in the calendar when there's a lot of key international events from the UN on nature, on climate and on plastic. So what role do you see the UK's drink sector playing at these international events as we look at these things that really do need to cut through supply chains, for example, as you mentioned, innovation and regeneration and resilience?
I think that actually we've got a role to play because we're a relatively new industry in the UK in terms of production. We've got the ability to tell a story in a way that maybe is a little bit new. We can bring that to life without some of the baggage that potentially longer standing regions have, but also because we're a newer production industry, we've always been a hub for other businesses, other countries, and we've got this really international outlook, and we've also got parts of every part of the supply chain. So we've got really good glass manufacturers, we've got great consolidators, good shippers, we've got producers, we've got distributors. And so I think actually in terms of the international events, I reckon that we can pull together some really great stories. And I think that is unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, it's still the way forward. It's actually, how do we tell a story? How do we show that we've got the potential to make change and that we're agile enough to do that? I would also say that I wouldn't want to be parochial about it. I think we're part of an international sector. We're a part of an international industry, and actually, therefore, as at international events, we all need to play our part. And that's part of what excites me about sustainability in drinks, is that although yes, it's based in London, and this first one is playing on that proximity for all these people to get together. Actually, what's most exciting is the amalgamation of international expertise that's going to be there, and that can be the same at all these other international events as well. And of course, I also hope that the UK drink sector is going to play in those events by people having a really good gin and tonic from somewhere at the end of the day, and making sure that we're highlighting the capacity of our own sector to do things well and to tell those stories and to do it in the most sustainable way possible.
Great. It's been great to hear about so many opportunities, and we've covered so much ground, but I think most of it was really positive and loads of action points to take away for the next couple of months. But so just before I let you get going back to your many roles, I'm sure you're super busy. Could we just have a final recap on how people can join in the event?
Absolutely. The very best thing you can do is go to www.sustainabilityindrinks.com, have a look at the programme. You can sign up to register to come to the exhibition on the Tuesday the 15th. It's going to be the most amazing day with some incredible talent and some real expertise. The conference, unfortunately, is technically sold out, but if you are interested and you've got a really strong reason for coming, then please do send us an email and we'll have a look and see what we can do. The email address is hello@sustainabilityindrinks.com. But please do sign up. There's lots of exciting opportunities, and I'd love to come and speak to as many people as possible at the event on the Tuesday. So hopefully see you there.
Great, thanks so much for your time, and you'll probably see me there as well, because as I've mentioned, Edie is delighted to be a media partner for this event, so hopefully see you there. But for now, I'll let Anne get going. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure, thank you. And just for clarity, I'm just going to say that it is the 14th and 15th of October. See you there.